I would get asked to share my story, so I did. Then they did a blood test. 2 weeks later, I got the test results, and it was negative for things like cholesterol.
I have the honor of sitting down to talk to Blake Culley today. You might have seen their Instagram videos.
Hi, everyone. My name is Blake. They can influence each other, but they're really separate things. I started taking testosterone, or T, and I had a surgery to remove my breasts.
To me, that is a powerful social movement in spreading awareness and educating others on their experience regarding the transition, bringing light to different conversations within the transgender community. Please join me as I continue to learn more. When and why did you start doing your vlogs on Instagram?
I started in February 2017, right? It was 2017. I decided that it was time for me, as a deaf transgender person, to explain my experience. I did that because I didn't have access to that information myself. I struggled with my identity. I struggled with understanding who I was because I couldn't find anyone I could relate to. Having that connection is important. So I just thought, hey, why not? I just went ahead and shared my experience via sign language, including what I'm going through and many other things, so other deaf people can understand. It ended up working out well.
Oh, yeah.
Hearing people got involved and I learned something new. Even hearing people can have auditory processing disorder. They cannot understand what is being spoken or heard.
Oh, yeah.
That's where captioning can be really helpful.
Right.
So it's not just deaf people. Hearing people experience these issues too. That's a trip.
Now, in terms of identity, that of which you value very much, I have learned a lot from you. I can imagine those that have experienced a similar journey feeling an immediate connection to you. Do you mind elaborating on your struggle regarding identity, as you mentioned?
Right. I've always thought that I was different. I couldn't figure out what it was. So I struggled with being accepted by society. Society says that I must be straight, and that I must be cisgender, which means when I was born, I was assigned a gender that I grew up with. I was born a girl, so I should be a woman. That's what being cisgender is. I had to meet that expectation, which was a struggle. I was always a tomboy and would always dress differently. If I had to dress femininely, I felt so out of place. It didn't look good on me. I would look at pictures of me and I would think that they don't capture my true self. I struggled with being a lesbian at first. I really struggled. I came out to normal people. When I came out, they would react and question my choices. After that, I started to deny it. Then 3 years later, I became a hardcore lesbian. Society was telling me I was not supposed to do that. I had to live with it. Then on top of that, I struggled with my gender identity. And that also came with a new set of struggles. Society would not accept that either. I'm not cisgender. Does that mean that I am transgender? I couldn't accept that because to identify as transgender is a big change. At that point, I didn't think I was transgender either, but after a while, I accepted that fact. I'm not cisgender. I'm non-binary, meaning I don't identify either as a man or a woman. I also struggled with that. I'm not a woman, and I know that much. I stepped out of that box, but does that mean I have to jump into another box and identify as a male? I never really came to terms with my identity. I just decided to take 1 foot out of the box.
With what you know.
It was with what I know. Again, you have to consider your access to information. And there's a limited number of people who are deaf and transgender. Many of them haven't come out, and many of them hide in the open. I didn't know who to connect with, especially with the non-binary. There's even a smaller number of people who are non-binary. I went through my own journey in discovering my identity.
Right. I can imagine that being a lonely journey for you in some ways without access.
It still is. It still is.
I would like to know more about the turning point. When did you realize that you wanted to make that change?
I've had some people ask me if I was indeed transgender. I would deny it and even make fun of transgender people. I would shun them and think that they were ignorant and wonder why they chose to transition. People are doing the same thing to me now, what I did to other people, you know?
Do you think that's because inside you didn't fully accept it,
Yeah.
so in turn you mocked it?
Right. And it's the same as people who haven't come out and they mock gay people. Same scenario. That was my reason for mocking and insulting those who are transgender, because on the inside, I was one of them. Other people who criticize my decisions might have their own issues.
Right.
Who knows? That's their journey.
So your turning point, when did you finally decide that you wanted to become a man?
Well, I don't identify as a man.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I decided that I am masculine in terms of how I want to express myself. I want a beard, and I wanted my breasts surgically removed. Growing up, obviously they didn't start growing until later when I was a teenager. I started developing breasts. I was always uncomfortable. I hated it. I wore sports bras and would bind them constantly. I truly hated it. Eventually, I couldn't handle it anymore. I'm 28 years old and I'm still dealing with accepting my body.
You didn't feel comfortable in your own body?
No. I was not comfortable at all. When I was in a sexual relationship, I would cover myself with a shirt. I wouldn't take my clothes off and be naked because that was too uncomfortable. Finally, after dating for 6 months to a year, I would start taking off my shirt. I really didn't understand why I felt this way. I thought it was just me, but I had body dysphoria. I don't feel comfortable and I don't see the same thing in the mirror as you do. Is it because of those things? No, it's actually because of my gender. Once I had my breasts removed, I could be topless anywhere. I could take off my shirt anywhere. That feels good.
I have to ask, how did your family and close friends react? Were they accepting? Were they supportive?
It went well with close friends. They're close friends for a reason, of course. I told them, and they would say they saw it coming. I was taken aback. They were fine with it and accepted me 100%. Some of them did cry because they didn't want to see me go through the usual struggles. I can understand their pain. That was how they responded, but they were fully accepting. My family, on the other hand, my biological mother, took it hard. I'm her only child. She sees me as her daughter. Now she's struggling to grasp the fact she's lost her daughter because my brother had already passed away, leaving me as the only child. She felt like she also lost her daughter. I'd be like, no, I'm still alive and I'm happier now. I will be true to myself. After about 6 to 8 months, my mother finally accepted me, albeit reluctantly. She respects my decision, but I don't know if she's truly on board with it. However, it's important that she respects me. When it came to my dad and my stepmom, I was really nervous. They raised me. They really know who I am. I was so nervous. I wasn't sure if they would be accepting or not. I sent them an email, said, that I'm transgender. I would understand if they chose not to accept me. I just hoped they would never disown me. That was my biggest fear when I told those two. The first thing they said, disown you? Ha! We would never do that. We'll always love you. We will always accept you no matter what. My parents still aren't used to calling me Blake. They still use my old name, my dead name. They still blurt it out. It's a hearing thing. They call for me using that name. I look back and say, that's not my name anymore. They apologize and ask for more time to adjust because they don't see me every day. That's not a big deal, but otherwise they've accepted me. They even brag about me and call me their child.
You're very fortunate to have that kind of support. I'm sure you realize that. I imagine you have seen on social media that many have inflicted pain on themselves or even taken their lives because they didn't have that acceptance from their family and friends. Wow, you mentioned your dead name. Can you expand on that? I think I know what it is, but for our viewers that may not know what that means.
A dead name means when you're born, you're given a name on your birth certificate. After you've grown up, you can change your name by going to a courthouse. You can pick a different name that fits you the best. In my case, it was Blake, and that's my current name. My old name, the one on my birth certificate, is now considered a dead name because it's dead to me. I've thrown out that old name. So the transgender community, they call these old names dead names. This is to make it clear to other people that they should not call me by my dead name. That name is dead for a reason. That's what a dead name is.
I'm wondering about your journey of transformation. Like you said, it feels good to have a beard and some other things. Have you had any experience of, what do you do to grow a beard? I know you vlog on testosterone. Is that the only thing you inject? What's the process like? Do you do it daily?
Right.
For how long? If you don't mind, could you talk about that?
When I first went to the doctor, I said I wanted to start the T treatment. I was asked to share my story, so I did. Then they did a blood test. 2 weeks later, I got the test results, and it was clear of things like cholesterol. Since the treatment will increase your cholesterol, if your cholesterol is too high, then the treatment isn't a good idea. That kind of thing. We also needed to figure out how much to start with. Some people will need a big dose, while other people only need a little. So they started me off with low dosage. After a month, I came back for another blood test. They said that my blood was responding well to the T, and I was cleared to increase my dosage. I was taking it once weekly via shots to my hamstring. I can receive these shots anywhere, including my stomach, legs, and arms. I've never done that, but I can if I wanted to. I have to do this every week for the rest of my life. When it comes to my beard, I think it's my genes. Many people, even transgenders and cisgender males, ask me how I came to grow this beard.
Yes, nice beard, yes.
It's a nice beard, right? Sometimes I would look in a mirror and wish my beard was fuller. Just a little light beard here, but oh well. I can't complain because even cisgender males complain about how unfair it is for me to have this type of beard. It's the genes and the T. That's how I got my beard. I did try some medication and drops in order to grow out a fuller beard. I don't know if that's had an influence on the beard I have now. I could never really tell.
I have some medical questions. So does insurance cover it? Everything?
Yeah, I have to pay a small percentage, like 5% or 10%. That's all I pay. The rest is covered by insurance, but it didn't cover my surgery to remove my breasts. That was because I was under the Medicare for the...
Medicare, right?
Yeah, Medicare under the California insurance policies. The surgeon told me that they didn't accept my medical plan. So I stashed away money until I saved up enough, $7,500 for the operation, worth it.
Right.
Worth it,
Did you have to go through any evaluations or assessments to ensure you really wanted your breast removed?
Kind of. That surgeon required a letter from my therapist. I was fortunate. I had already been seeing my therapist for a while. That was before that was maybe my turning point in realizing that I was transgender. I went to the therapist every week, and I poured out my thoughts and feelings. The therapist then gave me a lot of information and resources. After going through the material, I realized that I was indeed transgender. It was because of the therapist. When I went to the doctor, I started my T treatment. I think I was on it for about 6 months. Yes, 6 months. Then I went to the surgeon and asked to have my breasts removed. The surgeon was well known and was the top in the field. The surgeon said I was required to bring a letter from my therapist to verify. I asked my therapist to provide the document, and it all worked out well. Some doctors require 2 letters, and some of them require the patient to be evaluated by the hospital or by the department. There's really many different ways of getting the surgery. I was fortunate.
Right. It's a major change.
Yes.
So you need to make sure that you want to take that step, right?
Right.
Your vlogs, what has been your most favorite reaction to them?
In general or to a specific vlog?
Your vlogs in general, when you have realized the kind of impact you're making. You mentioned audio sensory. Auditory
processing disorder.
Right. I wonder if others that are personally struggling, have they reached out to you?
Yes.
And how does that feel to be in that position where you are making a difference for them?
Yeah, really many deaf people have been reaching out to me. Hearing people as well. They would ask me where they should start. Some of them have parents who won't accept them. They ask me how they should tell their parents, and I would try to explain. I had one thing they don't have. I shouldn't complain about this, but I'm not able to relate to people whose parents aren't accepting of them. How can I really help? I didn't have that particular experience. I always maintained an optimistic attitude. You can choose your family. We would discuss what to do in worst case scenarios. Make sure you have friends who can support you. Make sure you have these things. And that's the best advice I can give them. If their parents don't accept them, that really sucks.
Right.
It's heartbreaking. Most of the time, they don't know where to start or who to talk to. I would tell them to talk to their primary care physicians and see a therapist. It's really benefited me. Several of them might decide to proceed with the transition. All of this happens and they reach out to me, which is, wow, supporting them. Now being a part of their journey. Mm-hmm. We still kept in touch over the past year and a half. Since I started doing these vlogs, we will still stay in touch.
There are two different vantage points. Some are open with being transgendered. They will say that they're trans male, just as an example, right? Then on the other hand, you have those that it is known that they're trans, but they don't want to be called trans male. They'd prefer just to be called male. There are those two different views. Not sure if you're comfortable sharing your thoughts on that. Is it important to identify as trans for the purpose of identifying? Or why would some not prefer to be called trans?
That's hard for me. It's their choice. It doesn't affect me, so why should I worry about what they want to call themselves? They're not forcing me to identify myself as a male. Try to think of me as a deaf person. Many people don't identify themselves as deaf people. They don't. They would deny it, and that's up to them. Some deaf people would question your decision in not identifying as a deaf person. Why would you be ashamed of it? It's the same with trans people and other trans people. They can't hide the fact that they are trans people. It's not my problem how they want to identify themselves. I need to respect their choices, period.
You are right. That is something I just learned from you. Why should I care? It's up to them. You mentioned that it's a lonely journey. Can you talk about that? How has it been lonely? And what has helped you to feel not alone?
The lonely part is my non-binary identity. Many deaf trans I've met fall into that non-binary spectrum. They transition from female to male and male to female. They chose one or the other. I struggle with that connection. Some deaf trans will look at me funny because I'm non-binary, yet I have a beard. That doesn't make sense to them. Why does it not make sense? It shouldn't matter that I chose to express my masculinity. Many other days I feel very feminine.
Get your nails done.
I would go to a nail salon and freshen up. I go often. I have compassion, and that's a feminine trait. I cry sometimes, you know. I embrace both the femininity and masculinity within. Many people I've met chose one or the other. You have a beard, but you're wearing makeup? That throws me off. But cisgender males wear makeup, right?
I can imagine that feeling, as if people want to put you in a box. It is either this or that. When you are somewhere in between, that is when people start to question. But why question?
Mm-hmm. Right.
You are Blake.
Right.
Your self-expression comes from how you feel, your mood.
Right. Right, exactly. I'm not forcing you to be non-binary, right? That's you. Why does my identity have to have an impact or influence over you? That sometimes can become frustrating. They will grow in size. That is hard.
Also, spreading the awareness, like your vlogs. The more you spread, the more people become aware and quite possibly lessen their fear and ignorance, working towards love and acceptance.
And often I've seen not only my vlogs, but also other hearing trans post a lot of negative comments. They say things like, "Go kill yourself," or "Why do you belong here on Earth?" Or "You're not supposed to be trans, God made you this way," or "Science said so." It goes on and on. They will sometimes say things like that even on my vlogs. On Facebook, where my video has gone viral, many deaf people, sometimes I was shocked. I don't know who most of them are, thank God, but they were so negative. God says you're to be a girl because you were born one. No, that is not true. Gender and sex are separate things. So what we kind of do is whenever we see other people being harassed, we need to step in and rectify that. You need to say, that's wrong. If God says you should be who you are, then God is the one who made me a trans. Really, I'm trans and God made me that way. If you want to use that logic or whatever religious approach, I would school people. And that often happens. As a community, we see advantages with social media where we can post and call out people for their wrongdoings. This way, they will remember and learn.
Your comment, it comes down to love. People hate when they fear something or are ignorant. They then tend to react in pretty horrible ways. I view you as someone that is truly trying to spread love through your movement, with your vlogs, being an inspiration to others. That is powerful to me. Out of curiosity, what do you envision? How much more do you want to do with this?
I still want to do more vlogs. Now I've hit a plateau because I've reached my peak in my transition. I have a few things coming up soon. What comes next? I usually make vlogs whenever a situation arises. When I've had a new experience, I'll do a vlog and explain about it. There will be less of those. Now I'm going to different schools doing presentations about Trans 101. We also talk about how to work with trans students. Should you ever have a trans student enrolled in your school, what do you do with the bathroom situation? How do you approach the situation appropriately and support students if their parents are not accepting of their transition? Support them, period. I envision providing presentations at deaf schools, since I'm a deaf trans, which is neat. That's my mission going forward.
The inner advocate in you wants to do more for the deaf community.
Right.
I want to express my gratitude to Blake for putting it all out there, being so open. It has me pondering. I am one of those people that often feel helpless when I see on the news that transgendered people are being hurt and even killed. What can I do? After my conversation with Blake, I have realized that I and all of you can make a difference by educating and spreading awareness to reduce hate and ignorance by replacing them with love.